What's up, you guys? My name is Hutch.
And my name is Jericho.
And this is another episode of Pine Park Movie Talk. Okay, so Tucker, you just got back from EDC. Do you want to talk a little bit about how that went for you?
Yeah, electric Daisy Carnival. A lot of electronic music. The biggest festival in the Western Hemisphere, one of the biggest in the world, 175,000 people a day. Finally got to go and take part in it with my record label. So we had a art card takeover on Saturday where we curated a lineup. They've got like 15 stages. So we got to take one of those for one day. And I'm physically a little tired, but mentally still fun because I went with you several times. Yeah. And so it's good to be a part of that, not as a fan, but like contributing.
Sure. Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you come on, is because the last time Hector came on, we talked about which thing we prefer, music or movies, and you just started this venture with NightMode, which is your record label.
2.5 years ago, but it feels like it just started, yeah.
Well, it's all relative,
It is relative. Hey, it was all COVID. That time just blended together.
Right, yeah. So I guess, like today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about our favorite soundtracks with movies.
Right.
But I did want to pick your brain a little bit about how you got started with the record label. Can you just sort of briefly walk me through how you came up with the idea for, like, how did you execute to get from point A to point B? Because I've witnessed you from the time you were a young lad.
Yeah, it's been a decade plus now, right?
You had a Jim Carrey Dumb and Dumber bowl haircut.
We got to go back to that. I miss it sometimes.
But yeah, I've watched you kind of grow as this content creator to now starting this brand new venture all on your own, and it's been really fun to watch. But I'm curious about how that process went for you.
Well, I mean, obviously it's a lot of fun to do because I'm a huge fan of music. I'd have to err on the side of if it was movies, music, or TV only. I'm gonna go with music. I listen to it all day, every day, and a lot of like your favorite TV shows, your favorite movies, your favorite games are nothing without a good soundtrack. Like it's just silent, man, that sucks. Yeah. So I always wanted to be involved in the music industry in some capacity because I can't make music. I'm not like trained. I know you can learn, but it's hard, right? Mm-hmm. So my friend, my label co-owner, Dan, reached out to me. He ran a dubstep label called Untitled Records, and he's been doing this for a while. And he was like, hey man, you want to curate a gaming compilation album and we'll release it under like the Jericho compilation? And I was like, yeah, that sounds like a cool idea. Like, of course, yeah, not a lot of legwork. The music was already, I just had to go choose songs that they had given me out of that, and then we put it together. It did so well that Dan was like, we've never had an album get streamed this much or this much playlisting or all this stuff. There might be something here.
Were you guys streaming on Spotify or just
Spotify? Yeah, whenever I talk about stream numbers, it's gonna be Spotify. That's unfortunately where the majority of this, revenue comes from. But it worked out well. And we decided, look, there's a space in the gaming industry for two things. Content creators, right? We wanna have good music that we can use in the background of streams, videos, whatever you want to do without DMCA risk. And then number two, like gamers love music, but they don't really know how to go find good new music outside of like what they're being told to listen to, and that's fine. I wanted to be spoon feeding them my favorite types of music. Shamelessly, I just was like, oh my God, I get to give people music I love listening to from some guy in New Zealand with 1,000 followers. And so that's what we did.
So let's talk about some of our favorite soundtracks. Because like you mentioned at the beginning, I don't know if it was before we were filming or when we were filming, but you mentioned just a moment ago that a good movie is not going to, it's nothing without a really good soundtrack, which is something I totally agree with. I get real snobby about movies when I'm watching at home. Like the quality of my TV has like sort of slowly improved over time because I've just gotten used to it. But also the quality of my speakers and the subwoofer, that is like a really crucially important part of movies.
Who is it? Is it like Nolan or there's somebody famously who's like, you just can't watch my movie on a cell phone. Stop it.
There's a lot of directors that, Denis Villeneuve has said stuff like that. Nolan has said stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of like really big filmmakers that have, I don't necessarily agree. I think if you're watching it on an iPad and you have like a really good headset, you can kind of get close to the experience.
Thing that nobody wants to talk about is you're objectively watching a higher picture quality on a Retina display iPad than you are in a movie theater. But I was coming back to the audio. Like, you're right. If you're listening on AirPods, that's fine and that's cool. But the difference between going and seeing a movie like Dunkirk or Blade Runner I actively sought out ones that had like the Dolby Atmos newest thing because I want my bones to physically shake when there's a moment.
The thing with Nolan though in Dunkirk is that it was physically painful. to see that in IMAX.
Well, you saw it in IMAX,
I had
right?
to like, I don't know if I saw it with you, but I saw it with
I did
Esme,
not.
and we were sitting right underneath one of the speakers. And the thing with Nolan's films is the discrepancy between the audio levels is really pronounced. So you'll have sort of quiet dialogue, and then all of a sudden these gunshots kick in, and it's like
It's supposed to like
hurt me
yeah.
physically to hear that.
I mean, that's a tried and true thing that I always take issue with because just like, you know, the artist that's making a song has their own personal preference of the way it sounds, so does the director and the people that are out there putting the soundtrack and normalizing the audio. I personally hate that. I like it to be roughly in the same like listenable range where I'm not turning it up or turning it down at home, but like stylistic choices.
Even with the late night, what do you call it, equalizer for speakers that are supposed to help with that. Nolan's films are still like really hard to watch that.
I think he does it on purpose.
He does. He actually, he says it in interviews that, you know, a lot of the times the audio in his films are confusing. He says this is intentional. Like he's trying to sort of disorientate the viewer.
Audience.
I don't know how much I believe that. Like
No.
I think he thinks it sounds better than it does. But I think audio design in general is probably his worst attribute.
It should go without saying that you can be a fantastic visual director and know fuck all about audio, and that's okay. But like he to me reminds me of the people that were walking around with like Skull Candy bass boosted headphones in like high school or like, you know, Beats bass boosted stuff. And I'm like, sure, it's loud.
It's a little after my time.
Yeah.
But yes.
Okay. Well, whatever. He's got the Civic with the trunk rattling bass in it. And he's like,
there's
louder is better, baby.
Now you're speaking my language. I had that Civic too, with the rattling trunk. But yeah, I had a list of movies that I wrote down.
Okay.
But have you seen the movie Soul? It's a Pixar film. It just came out a couple years ago.
I have. I am notoriously behind on all. We were talking about this earlier. I'm a casual movie fan. I've watched 5 movies in like 5 years at home. I just don't like the idea of sitting down and committing that much time. But Pixar, Soul was the most recent one that I've watched from that group. Incredible.
So first of all, I love that movie. It was the first time. I mean, it's a kids movie, but it's not technically. I mean, it's kind of not a kids movie.
Every Pixar movie is a kids movie in disguise that is designed for the adult. It is like a pretty, it's like when you go, I don't have a good example, but yeah, it's like they're adult movies with adult thematic plots that kids can relate to.
And from the perspective of someone, I was raised in the Catholic Church, and so like,
Same.
and
Church every Sunday.
Even like, I just feel like a lot of kids' movies, when they deal with the topic of death, they approach it through a religious prism.
Right, it's not the end, don't worry, there's something else, there's a little hope, whatever.
There's always some kind of religious underpinnings. And this was the first like kids movie that I saw grappled with the theme of death, that approached it from a very secular point of view. There's not necessarily like a God in the film, but it gives you this alternative view of the afterlife. And I really appreciated that about the movie. But the soundtrack was unbelievable. And I didn't realize it at the time, but it was done by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, who have scored a lot of Fincher's films, The Social Network, and
Trent Reznor up there.
Oh yeah, he's like one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But the soundtrack to that movie, if you guys at home haven't seen that movie, I would definitely recommend watching it. I normally don't love animated films, but this is a really great film.
You're gonna cry too.
And if you don't want to watch, yes, you will get emotional. And if you don't want to watch the film, just listen to the soundtrack on Spotify or whatever streaming platform you like, because it is well worth your time. So
yeah.
Can you think of any movies with soundtracks recently that you really enjoyed?
So one thing that when you mentioned that, I have literally never in my life thought to myself like, oh, I should sit down and watch and listen to the music from a movie.
You've never done that?
Never. And I realized that might have been a weird thing when I was sitting here on my way over trying to think about like, okay, I'm a casual movie watcher, like how do I contribute to this conversation? Because I've never sat down and been like, all right, a moment in time, like Hans Zimmer, the entire discog of Interstellar. Like that's just not the kind of music that I listen to even in the background.
That's easily my most streamed
Spotify.
Right. Song.
Which is such a complete, right. And when I realized that the impact that music has from like movies, memorable ones, aren't that the movie is good, it's just that it's the first time that I was exposed to something like that. So Triple X, Vin Diesel, all right?
What?
Listen, Triple X, Vin Diesel, opening scene, nightclub, dark Berlin dungeon club Rammstein playing Firefly. My first YouTube channel was named X Firefly X with my no scope montage. That was the first time I was getting into metal, and that was the first time I'd ever heard them before. And I was like, holy shit, this is German metal, it's so cool. Obviously, they are one of the most prolific metal bands ever. Getting to see them September.
You're saying Rammstein?
Yeah, I bought tickets pre-COVID. So, you know, they're like 90 now, but either way.
This might be the first conversation in human history about the Triple X soundtrack.
That is not true. Okay, I've had this
you
conversation.
talked about this. Okay.
So, but it was like, I remember that scene so vividly, and it got me out into their music. Similarly, okay, this one's gonna be weird. Fast and Furious. Ja Rule did like the entire Fast and Furious original soundtrack. Basically, go look at the album. That was the first time that I really spent any time listening to Ja. Don't really do that anymore, but like it sticks out to me as not the fact that it was a good movie or a great soundtrack, but like Clubbed to Death with The Matrix. Like there are songs that turned me on to genres. The Prodigy too, from I mean, pick a sci-fi film. Like this is kind of how I view music and movies. It's like not necessarily the whole Hans Zimmer. It's like this one song from this one moment that got me really into some other aspect.
Yeah, well, it's funny you mention that. I mean, like really half my most listened to Spotify songs are movie soundtracks, and a ton of it is Hans Zimmer. But you know, and speaking of which, I wanted to talk about a movie that, even though you are a more casual movie viewer, like you spend a lot more time doing other stuff.
Watching anime.
I do remember you talking very enthusiastically about Blade Runner 2049 on social media.
I'm a simp.
And we can't have a conversation about really great movie soundtracks without talking about Blade Runner 2049. It is stellar.
Right.
It's incredible.
I put that on because my girlfriend had not seen it before. I put that on as a background movie quite often because I like, you know, turn off the lights, turn on the hue lights, and then put that thing on because like just the color splashes that happen.
It's just to interrupt you real quick, but Kanye West, when he was making one of his more recent albums, he like put a video up on Instagram or something of him doing whatever he does artistically to like get into that creative zone, and his background was a giant like IMAX screen, and he just had Blade Runner 2049 on without any music playing. He just had it going in the background.
Visually. Well, I mean, I think I did tweet about this, but I think the funny part is I was like, Blade Runner 2049 and the original in the same vein is a great movie to put on in the background and then end up watching halfway through. Like without fail, the Vegas orange hits, and I'm like, oh yeah, I love this part. Like, yeah. Oh,
Los Angeles looked like that when those fires happened. That was crazy. You step outside, it was like a sepia tone. It was crazy.
I forgot about that. Almost fire season. Let's go. That soundtrack, very punchy, the like aggressively loud, unnerving sound, like
the engines, like the engine sounds. It's like, but I don't know how they managed to do it, but they blend those engine sounds into this music in this way that is like, I found it hypnotizing when I saw it in theaters, and I would say for this movie especially, it is way more important that you watch it. If you're watching with headphones, like try to make sure it's like a decent pair of headphones that will kind of like rumble a little bit. Or if you're watching it at home on a soundbar, try to make sure you invest like maybe just like a little bit. You don't have to spend a ton of money, but it's really important to listen to this movie with bass because it is what makes the experience for me. It's the perfect combination of the punchy audio and these breathtaking visuals. And I don't know if you saw, but it really fucking pissed me off. But during the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, the topic of Ana de Armas came up. She's the actress who played the love interest, the AI love interest in Blade Runner 2049, and a lawyer reduced her role. He said, "Did you know that her only part in that movie was that she was a naked billboard?" And I fucking got so pissed.
Oh my! Like she's literally one of the three pivotal like what? Where does the line between AI and human get drawn? Making me mad too. I didn't know that.
How dare you, sir? Yeah. It really bothered me. I mean, and it was a great performance.
And even if it was just a billboard, even if you did, okay, hot, love her. Everybody's background for like 4 years has been that, I'm sure. So.
She was really good in the new Bond movie too.
I actually have yet to see that. Here, you know what I realized? Also talking about when I watch movies, I travel so much that I am a watch movies on the plane guy, and now movies on a plane have become so easy because it's just free included in streaming to whatever you have connected. I mean, that's really messed up my movie watching because like the new James Bond movie. perfect movie film.
Oh, it's great.
For like a airplane.
I mean, I disagree with the directors that say you have to watch movies on a big screen.
Oh,
I watched
yeah,
Dune when it, like, you know, that we were.
I didn't mention Dune, and I loved that. I don't know why I didn't mention it.
Well, no, I mean, it feels kind of cheatsy doodles to talk about Hans Zimmer because we could spend
I did see
3 hours talking about like all the incredible Hans Zimmer scores.
I got to see him live when so he played Coachella a couple years ago.
I saw him at Coachella as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and he brought out the original singer vocalist for the Lion King.
Yep.
I mean, it was just
You were there for that?
I was there. Were we in the same show? You know,
I
mean, he
think
did like
so.
a couple nights or something like that.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
I was sitting up in the little balcony over there, just like, God, that was so good.
It was incredible.
And I'm not the type of person to listen through all of the, but like iconic movie, like I have not seen Hereditary, but I know when I think Hereditary, yeah, I know.
The soundtrack to that is fucking beautiful too. It's
know.
like unnerving and like it makes you feel anxious, but it's just beautiful. Like I don't even know how to describe the sounds what just fell?
It's just the hums, man. Don't worry about it.
Anyways, yeah, we could talk for 45 minutes about this stuff, but we need to end the episode
Okay.
here. So, Tucker, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Is there anything else that you wanted to put? Like, where can people find NightMode stuff if they want to find
Literally everywhere, but if you just search NightMode on Spotify, YouTube, Twitter, you'll find all of our catalog, and you can use it for free without asking me.
There you go. I appreciate you coming on once again,
course.
and thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next week for another episode.